Welcome to the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast, where we aim to help fellow veterinary rehab therapists increase their knowledge and elevate their practice. I'm Megan Kelly.
And I'm Anae Lloyd. Together, we bring you the latest insights, research, and information in the field of veterinary rehabilitation.
This podcast is brought to you by Onlinepethealth, a leading continuing education membership for veterinary rehabilitation therapists. With Onlinepethealth, you will have access to a wide range of online resources to help you stay up to date with the latest techniques, advances, and trends in the industry.
Our podcast features in-depth conversations with leading experts in veterinary rehabilitation. They share their own experiences and knowledge to help you improve your practice. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out in the field, our goal is to provide you with the tools and the insights you need to succeed.
So join us as we explore the exciting world of veterinary rehabilitation and help you take your practice to the next level. Hey vet rehabbers, today I chat with Lonneke Haan and Irene Feenstra-de Jonge from the Netherlands about the power of partnerships and how they've built an incredible team around them. We dive into the importance of choosing the right business partner, someone whose strengths complement your own and who shares your vision and values. When you find the right fit, a partnership can become a cornerstone of your success, offering not only shared responsibilities but also the emotional support and mutual understanding through the ups and downs of vet rehab practice. Lonneke and Irene share how their partnership has been instrumental in their growth, providing them with a solid foundation to tackle challenges and innovate within their practice. They also discuss the value of collaboration, trust, and having someone by your side who truly understands the unique demands of veterinary rehabilitation. This episode is packed with insights into building strong partnerships and fostering teamwork for long-term success. The month of February is our birthday month, and to mark the occasion, we have partnered with the Veterinary Academy of Higher Learning to bring you 2 incredible webinars, and we're gifting them to the entire community. Yes, even if you're not an Online Pet Health member, you can watch them for free. You simply have to head over to onlinepethealth.com/gift to sign up. And here's what's in store. Dr. Rachel Kane presents The Power of Muscles as she explores muscle structure, function, and anatomy, emphasizing their critical role in rehabilitation. And Steve Adair will dive into regenerative rehabilitation and how it's reshaping our field. I can't wait to see you all online for these informative sessions. A quick word from our sponsor before we dive in. Nada first developed her courses at the Colorado State University, where she started the Medical Acupuncture for Veterinarian Certificate program in 1998. In so doing, Dr. Robinson developed a science-based platform for veterinary acupuncture, the first of its kind. Today, Curacao Vet offers a comprehensive curriculum in integrative medicine with a rational evidence-supported foundation. Courses include medical acupuncture, photomedicine, botanical medicine, medical massage, and integrative rehabilitation. You can discover Curacao Vet at curacao.org. Right, over to my chat with Lonneke and Irene. Hey, Irene and Lonneke, thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, hello, Megan. It's really nice to be here together with Irene. Looking forward to the podcast. Thank you for having us.
Hi, Megan. Thank you for having us. I'm really happy that I met you in South Africa a couple of weeks ago, and now we're here. So excited to start this podcast.
So it's going to be awesome. So we've got lots to chat about, and I'm really, really excited because Lonneke and Irene were telling me that they attended my lecture at the AVOPT conference, and I inspired them, and they've been wanting to do something for a long time, and now they're going to start doing something in the online space. So we're going to touch into that now a little bit later. But first of all, let's, if you wouldn't mind, just share with the listeners how you got into the field of veterinary rehabilitation. Irene, maybe you can start.
Yeah, well, I came into this field because I was working with horses and had my own horse, and I was looking for a profession that not meant being a vet, but do something with like medical profession in animals. And then it turned out there was this education. It was animal physiotherapist. So I applied. I started doing normal physiotherapy because this is the route you take in the Netherlands. But my plan was always to become an animal physiotherapist. And while I was doing the course for animal physiotherapist, I realized that I also enjoyed treating dogs very much. So I started treating horses and dogs, and actually now specialize in treating dogs because they just give such fine energy, and also in combined with the pet owners. That now together with Lonneke, I really enjoy working with dogs mainly, and on the side I still treat a little bit of horses. So started out with horses, ended up with dogs. So that's
I was
funny.
the same. I was exactly the same. I was like horses, 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 and then ended up being a small animal vet rehab.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just funny how that went, but I'm really happy with my journey. Yeah.
And Lonneke, for you?
Well, since I can remember, I wanted to become a vet. So I did all the education in the beginning to start my education as a vet. But then I started to look into the practice of a vet, walk with them for weeks. And then I thought, well, this is not exactly what I want. I thought the time that we have with the animals is too short. And there were lots of, yeah, unhappy owners, I thought. It was a tough world. So I looked around and then I saw that there was an animal physiotherapist education in Holland. And I thought, well, I'm going to do that. And then I realized I had to become a human physiotherapist first. So that was a bit of a shock for me because I didn't want to work with humans. But I did it, and it was a really good preparation for the animal physio. And then I did, of course, the 2 years animal physio course, and yeah, really happy with it. I wanted to do horses and dogs, but I ended up with doing dogs only. I did horses for a year, but it was more of a tough world also, and I didn't fit in that well. So now I'm really happy working with dogs only with Irene together. That is really nice. So that's the story. Yeah.
Yeah, what's amazing is both of you actually had the intention of treating animals from the beginning, because there are a lot of vet rehab therapists that have just started with animals, I mean, started with humans and then transitioned into animals, and they actually have treated humans for quite a while before they go into the animals. So for both of you, it was like, this is your calling, you knew what you were going to do.
Yeah, definitely. This was our calling. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is the way, of course, I treated humans for 4 years, I think, before I had the practice, build up enough to treat only animals. But it was also enriching because your hands are getting better at examining your human skills, of course, because you have your owner attached to the dog and the horse. So it wasn't lost time. It was also good for the physiotherapist that I am today.
And I guess with the humans, you also get the feedback straight away. You can get the verbal feedback, like, how is this feeling? Or is this, I feel this. Do you feel that? Like, so you feel a trigger point. Can you feel that? And you get that feedback, which you don't get from the animals. So it's great to be able to, as you learning how to use your hands and what tissues feel like, to get that feedback from the patient.
Yeah, definitely. That's very helpful when you work with people, and also the people skills. So when you treat people and when you touch people, sometimes a lot of emotions, come to the surface when you're treating them. And I think that's also similar with pet owners when things don't go right, or when they're very anxious about an operation, or if their animal is getting older, and they feel like a little bit sad about that. And sometimes there's tears, and sometimes there's anger. And I think dealing with all these emotions is easier maybe for us because we already treated people for a couple of years before we became an animal physiotherapist. And then you've already had all these different people and all these different stories, some very funny, some very sad. And I think that helps make us better animal physiotherapists also now, because you still, you treat the animal, but you also treat the pet owner at the same time.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think as vets, a lot of us think we were just going into a field where we're just going to treat the animals, because a lot of vets don't like dealing with people. So they thought, I'm going to be a vet, so I don't have to. And they didn't realize they were going to be dealing with the owner most of the time, and the animal was going to be the easy part, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you two meet. How did you two meet and start a business together?
We met because there was we started working in the animal shelter of Amsterdam. We have our practices, one of our practices in Amsterdam in the animal shelter, and they put out an ad that we're looking for animal physiotherapists because they already bought somehow an underwater treadmill. The idea was that they had an underwater treadmill so they could put like animals from the shelter, dogs from the shelter, in the underwater treadmill and give them some exercise. But it turned out it was not that easy, because you need to, teach a dog how to walk in underwater treadmill. You can do a lot of things wrong if you don't know what you're doing, and they can like get injured in the underwater treadmill. Some are really, afraid or anxious. So they had this beautiful underwater treadmill and nobody used it. So then they put out an ad looking for animal physiotherapists. And I was one of the responders together with Lonneke and two other persons. And in the end, it was Lonneke and me. And we clicked right away. And that's where our story began.
Yeah. So that did you actually start working there, and did you eventually take that over? Is that now like part of the
Yes.
business?
Yes,
Yes,
it's part
we
of the
started
business
working.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, we started
Yeah,
working there and we rented it for a bit. And then later we took over completely.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
and in the beginning we worked just we had our separate practices, and well, we worked on different days, so we didn't really work together. But then after, I don't know how long, I'm not that good with years, but I think after a couple of years we said, why don't we work together? It's much more fun, and you can face challenges together. So that's how it started. First, we did our own dogs on our own days, and then we said, let's bundle our forces.
Yes.
Yeah.
so how does the practice look now? Because you're actually a team of 8 now. Do you have multiple practices? Can Lonneke, maybe you can just tell me a little bit about the practice and how exactly where everyone is and how you manage everyone.
Yes, when I started in Amsterdam, I had my well, another practice already. It is in another part of Holland, and Irene just started in Amsterdam, and then of course we combined the practices. So now we have the one in Amsterdam, and the practice that I owned is also part of the business now. And we opened a new practice, I think 2 months ago. So that's the third one. And yeah, along the way, yeah, we gathered a really nice team around us. Yeah, it's really nice that, well, Irene and I have a really clear vision of how the practice should be, that there is a lot of attention for the owner and the dog. Yeah, we have a vision of what we think a team should look like, and we just gather people around us, and they are working together with us now in the 3 practices.
Yeah, I think one of the main things that's important for us is that the people we work with and the people we like to work with are the people that we connect with on a personal level, and we feel like their heart is in the right place, and they in some ways are similar to us in how they look at our profession, and of course they also need to be good in what they do, but we also think that you can always be better and get better at your profession, but your personality is your personality. So I think when we look at people and we take them up in our team, then we really look at personality, and if they have the right kind of feeling that clicks with us and how we are as a person, and although we are all very different, I think that also brings us together. So the strength is that we're all different, and also that we have one thing in common. And I think that's really putting the animal first, putting the pet owner first, and trying to do this from a feeling of, how would you say that, Lonneke?
Yeah, it of course, we are a business, and we want to make well, a little bit or maybe more money, of course. It is really about, yeah, that's what I experienced as a child, that I wanted to look after an animal, just to improve the animal's health. That is the first thing that comes to mind when I think about my profession. And I think all our team members have that same feeling, and that's what connects us. And I think also, yeah, I really liked working as a vet physio, but now working in a team and also providing for my team, taking care of my team or our team, doing that together with Irene, I think that's what makes us a lot better. Creating a really nice environment for our team is also, well, I think one of our key roles now in the practice as well.
Yeah, I love it. It sounds like everyone is very aligned and all your core values are aligned, which is so important. And one of the lessons I learned when I started hiring people, I interviewed people and I thought, that's a really nice person. And they can be a nice person, but you have to have the right core values, the right work ethic, There's certain things that are important to us, like as a person, and you need to have the same type of people with you. And when you get that, it's actually magic when you have a team with the people with the same core values as you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we were just this weekend we went out for dinner, and like catching up with everyone. And then we were, also asking like, how, if you think, is everything going? And we were also talking about, being an employee and in our case, being an employer. And they said that what I liked about working with us and working in our team is that we gave them a lot of freedom and a lot of choices in the practice. So we always ask them like, what can we do better? What would be like something that you could participate? What are your strengths? What would you like to do? Because we really realize that without them, we're nothing. So we really value them because we cannot work all these hours by ourselves. We don't want to work all these hours in the practice. So we really need to cherish them, and make sure that they're happy, because if they're happy, we're happy, and also the pet owners and the animals will be happy. And of course, it's a illusion that is everything is always going great, but it's definitely something that we aim for, trying to keep them happy. So the practice will continue doing well.
Yeah, I love it. Let's chat about the hours that you're working and how you set up the practice. So, I've interviewed quite a lot of people who've had multiple practices, and some people do it one way and some people the other way. So the one way is certain staff members stay at certain satellite clinics, like they're at that clinic, and that's the only clinic they're at. And then one person moves around potentially if someone's on holiday. And then the other one, everyone moves around. So everyone is going to all the different practices. Now, I don't know the geographical distribution of your clinics and how far they are. So maybe you can share that first. And then how does it work? Who works where? Do you all have equal hours, or some people on less hours? How many hours are you working? So Lonneke, maybe you can start, and then we can hear from Irene.
Yes. Well, I think Irene and I work almost the same hours, and I work more in one practice, and she works more in the practice in Amsterdam. And the third practice, we work just together. We thought it was really important for us, Irene and myself, to have one day where we work together, don't treat too many patients, but really have time to have meetings and solve problems and plan ahead, because we miss that a lot. So we thought it would be good to invest in just time for Irene and myself to not be in the practice, but stand beside it and make plans. And we have vet physios that work 3 days, and we have a vet physio that works 1 day. It's what they want, of course, and we try to let them work in, mainly one practice that's closest to their home. And of course, they're willing, because Holland is not that big, that if there's a shortage in one practice, they will go there, or in holidays. But they're mainly in their own practice. So, also the pet owners are used to them as their physical therapist, and that continuity is is there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's how it works in our practice. I don't really have anything to add to that. So it's a team. Most of them work on days that are best for them. And of course, with holidays, there's a little bit more shifting around to make sure that there's enough people everywhere. But also me and Lonneke try to work a little bit extra sometimes to fill up the holes when they're on holiday and we can't find a suitable colleague to take over. Then we do a little bit extra. So yeah.
Well, I think it's amazing that you built up a practice that enabled both of you to come to South Africa for the IAVRPT conference, because most practices cannot have the primary and the people that have started the practice. Just usually it's one person. Most practices can't even afford for that one person to leave the practice for that time. But you guys managed to have both of you leave and go and have a little bit of a holiday too. So congratulations on that. So did everyone just have to step up? Your team obviously sounds like they're real team players, and you had that opportunity, so they would, they just increased their hours and you were able to do it.
Yes, they're really great like that, and we try to cherish that, not to over ask them. So sometimes we ask them to, are they available to do a little bit more, and sometimes we put in a little bit more effort to support them, and that works. It's a little bit of giving and taking, and like I say, if they're happy, we're happy.
Yes, and I think in the beginning, of course, we didn't have that many people to help us. Of course, the load is more divided now that we have 6 other nice ladies to do the work at home. But it's also, I think, also a little bit, I don't know if I say this correctly, but not making yourself too important. Because in the beginning you think, oh, it has to be this way, I can do it the best. And well, yeah, it is really good to have this confidence, or no, not confidence, the faith in the people that stay behind, that they can also do a lot of things, do a lot of the work, treat the animal and the client in the same way that you do. So it's also giving them the faith that they can do it as well.
Yeah, like what we do is, like, if we have new colleagues, then we won't directly give them the most, complicated patients, because we also want them, to have a little bit of confidence and get better while working. But yeah, in the beginning, I was a little bit, afraid sometimes of people are always asking for you because this is the name they know. And then Lonneke and I talked about that a lot, and then Lonneke said, it's sometimes better at it in the beginning. And I was like, let go, we need to trust them. They can do it. I'm like, oh, okay, if you say so. And then sometimes, she feels it the other way around. So we help each other to let go and have trust in our colleagues, and also tell the pet owners, like, they, on a daily basis, they call us and they've heard about one of us, either Lonneke or either me. And then when you say, well, you can, come this week on this and this day, and they say, are you there? And then no, I won't be there, but one of my colleagues, and they're just as good as we are, so you'll be safe in their hands and you get the best possible treatment. So you really have to, like, explain yourself sometimes, but it's something that we believe in. So, it's very easy to convince pet owners of the quality of your colleagues, and not make yourself so important, because in some things maybe you're better, and some things the colleagues now are better than we are. So everybody has their own little special, how do you say it?
Speciality, yeah.
Yeah,
Speciality.
Well, yeah.
And I think that really shines through to the owner. When they can see that you trust your colleagues. It's when you don't trust your colleague, then you're like, no, they're going to be looking at you, and they can pick it up straight away if you don't.
Yes.
So you have to have colleagues that you trust. But I think it's one of the big mistakes that a lot of people make, because when they start, it's usually just them on their own, and their clients, and they do everything for their clients. They bend over backwards for the clients. And then as they grow and they get bigger, the ability for that one person to be there for every single client gets less and less and less. And then you need to get somebody in. And then what happens is, when you first employ them, the second practitioner, then you are like booked until like every single night, like, and that person sees 1 or 2, and they start to build up their client base. And in the beginning you think, is this even worth it? Like, this person's not doing, I'm still doing all the work. But as you start to introduce them and you start to trust them, and they start to build their own client base, then it starts to equalize a little bit, and then you're able to pull back. So I think it's also something that it depends on your personality. If you're that type of person that is very controlling, and it sounds like you guys have a very good balance. And this is just from speaking. I think, Irene, you're maybe a little bit more controlling, and Lonneke, I think you're like, it's okay, you can. And so you guys look like you complement one another. Great.
Yeah, I think that's yes, it is. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think also our personalities are very different, but we keep each other, in check and in balance. So I think that's also a good combination. I'm very happy that we decided to combine our strength. And yes,
because now it's going well, and I think if we start with online stuff next year, it will be even better. But of course, we had the same struggles, that we did way too much in the beginning, said yes to everything, and I don't think that was a really healthy work environment. And I can really recommend working together with someone that you trust, because I wouldn't want to do it any other way now, because every difficult decision, I can talk to my husband or other friends, but they don't know, all the ins and outs of this field. And now I can talk to Irene about everything. And I like her a lot. She's become a really close friend. And we work in the same field, and I don't have to make all these decisions alone anymore. I can just listen to her input, and the other way around. Yeah, that's really helpful.
It's even this bad that I know all the expressions in Lonneke's face. So when I'm like maybe a little bit too fierce or controlling, I can see like even like lifting a small eyebrow. Go like, okay, maybe like hold back a little bit, keep calm. Or it's just so funny how that works. And we know each other, and then make sure that we
or not, because yes, if because I can be a little bit too I don't know. Well, I like Irene's fierceness once in a while, because that's also necessary, so that's why yes, you can complement each other a lot.
Yeah, it's awesome to have people that partner so well. So I've actually had a few partnerships, and unfortunately none of them have ever worked. And not for any reason. We never didn't get along. I think it always came down to a core value. And for me, it's always been my work ethic. So I have a work ethic that is up here, and I am a workaholic. And the other people that I partnered with were not at all. So it didn't work, because I was just doing all the work, and they were like sitting back. And then I was like, no, that's not going to work for me. No bad feelings with any of the partners. We were just like, okay, I don't think we're the same. We're going to just go separate ways. So I had 2 partnerships that did exactly the same. So lovely people, everything else great about them. It's just that the work ethic. So for me, that's always a struggle for me, to find somebody who can keep up with me and work as hard as I do. Before we chat about the online courses, I want to chat about your new clinic. So obviously it's a big step to open up the 3rd clinic, and must have been quite a big investment. Did you have to buy a lot of equipment for that clinic? How is it going? Is it breaking even now? And what are you doing to grow it? Are you close enough that you can actually refer patients of overflow from some of the other clinics, or are you far enough that you actually now have to market as a sort of new standalone clinic?
Yes, well, of course, Holland is not that big, so it's not that far away. And in the practice that I work, there were a lot of clients that are now really happy that the other practice is open, because it's much more close to their homes. But I think all the practices are like 30 to 40 minutes apart. But for Holland standards, that is a lot, because people don't want to drive a lot. That's really peculiar, but it's like 30 minutes is far. So I think we have some overflow that go from one practice to another, but we also have to make sure that we do the marketing for the new practice. And I'm really not a social media fan. I really don't like it. So we had a conversation, I think, a week ago with a really nice lady who is going to do our social media. So we have to use that source to bring in more clients.
Yeah, and what we also need to do, I mean, to start at this practice, actually, we were a little bit lucky, because it's a new center where we started our practice. So they also, invested a lot in the center, and also a lot in our, the rooms where we rent. So we rent the rooms from this bigger organization, and they were very helpful, also with us paying rent. So like for the first 3 years, they gave us like a good deal. So we didn't have to pay full rent if we didn't fully, have like a full practice yet. And also the biggest investment for us is the underwater treadmill. And although we could have bought it maybe with some of the reserve we have in one time, we decided not to do that, because like if something happens, then maybe most of our reserves would have been gone. So we decided to take out a loan for that and just pay it like in monthly amounts, and then you pay a little bit more, but then the risk is very low. And also the underwater treadmill during that period of time is insured, which is good, because after 2 weeks, we don't know what happened, but there's a little crack in the window. Nobody knows how we came there. But we're very happy, that through the company that gave us the loan, it's insurance. So now they're going to replace it. So no stress. I mean, and it's still functioning. And as far as, is it already, it's not fully paying the costs yet. So we're still building up more patients and then building out the agenda. So the other practices are paying part of the cost for the new practice. We do have to do a little bit more marketing now. So we're going around and meeting new vets, and also doing finding someone for social media. We found someone now, and also we're going to hire someone to make like content. So a professional person that can make like little films of the practice, and also we inspire ourselves and also our colleagues if they have an interesting case, to film it so we can have like a before and after. So we have to be a little bit better about that. And we didn't have to do that because we always had enough patients, and maybe even too much patients. And then if we would have done more social media, then we would have said like, no, sorry, we have we can't take in new patients, and we didn't want to do that. But now with the new practice, it makes it a little bit necessary to do more with marketing, and that's also a new area for us in a new world. So it's also very interesting to see where that will lead us. And actually, I really like it, meeting new people, meeting new vets, going around, telling them what we do. It's a part of the profession and being an employer that I really like. I think though one of the difficulties right now that we experience in our practice, and that's like, a different story, but in the Netherlands now, there's this whole development of a lot of private vet practices are being taken over by big investors. And one of the downsides is that there's a lot of change in teams. So normally in a vet practitioner like would send us patients or would call us for advice, saying that could this patient maybe benefit from physiotherapy. And now a lot of these teams that work in a practice that has been taken over by big investors don't know us anymore. So we need to like renew our contacts a lot more than we used to, because some of the vets that we were used to work with are gone and replaced by vets that don't know us. And also, I think a lot of the big investors don't really benefit from sourcing out, patients. So if they don't have physiotherapy in their own practice, they're not so willing to source them out to a practice like us, because they won't earn any money. So, and that is, I think, also a problem right now, that they want to keep things inside their own practice. So it's different vets, different assistants that don't know us anymore. So the referrals are a little bit more difficult now. So there's like a challenge for us to keep, visiting these practices, and also trying to contact managers of these different practices to make sure that they know that we're there and what we can do, and make sure that animal welfare is still the main thing, and that because that's very important to us. And sometimes it's very, it's just a shame that you sometimes see a patient way too late because you didn't get a referral. And then, if you would have seen these patients maybe a year ago, months ago, then it would have been, so much better for the animal in terms of pain management or being able to move better,
Yeah, I think it's a lesson for all of us, actually, because sometimes you get complacent when things are happening, going on, you're getting all the referrals, and then suddenly something changes, like what's happened to you now. And, what could easily happen is one of those big corporates could suddenly say, okay, I'm opening up a physiotherapy center in the practice just down the road from you. So it's really good that you have noticed this and you're saying, okay, we need to actually take action and have a plan going forward to continue those. Because sometimes we think, oh, well, we've got these relationships, it's all good, we're getting all these cases. And there are a lot of vet rehabbers that I've spoken to that have been in the position where everything has been going smooth, and then suddenly somebody opens up down the road from them and everything changes because one or two vets suddenly start referring to the new person, and then they lose a lot of their income and a lot of their clients. So yeah, so I think it's just a lesson to all of us is not ever to be complacent with the way business is going. Business can be great today, but you know, you've got to keep up with all the things. So it's good that you're starting the social media now too. And yeah, you've noticed it, and it hasn't been a year later and you're suddenly like, oh my gosh, we're not growing and we're losing all these clients. So well done to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's chat about your online ideas. So, for those of you that weren't at the IFYPT conference, I did a lecture on adding in additional income streams. And we spoke a lot about different online businesses. And you have some ideas, and I know you've been thinking about this for a while, but it's just taken you a while to get going. So tell me about your plans.
Well, yes, I think we were thinking about these plans for a long time. Irene and I, we were working together a couple of years ago, and we were thinking, well, this, of course, we had a lot of clients, and sometimes we felt we were overflowing and drowning in our own practice, and then we did like what was it, a personal development year, and it was related to owning a business, and we did it together. It was a whole year about yeah, where do you want your business to be in 10 years, and well, all the tools that you need to take a good look at it and change things. And then we started to think about, yeah, what can we do, because we were working with dogs for 15 years now, and we thought it would be also nice as business owners to do other things, explore other fields, and maybe create a little bit more time for ourselves and for our families and everything. So we were thinking about making online courses. I also teach at the school in Holland, and also do courses well, in Europe. And I really like lecturing, and Irene as well. She does it as well. And we thought, well, maybe we can do something online, and then, you know, this is out there, everybody can benefit from it.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to create for pet owners, and also for colleagues all around the world.
Okay, nice. And in what niche, have you got a niche that you've thought about?
Well, I think one
Well,
of the first. Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think one of the first ones we want to do, because that's something that's actually very easy for us, is like an online massage course for pet owners, because we are already giving this course in person, but
Yeah.
like putting it online is actually very easy, because we already have the course. We just need to record it, and then it's out there. And I think if people want to, they, because you know the Netherlands is not that big, but it could be like global. But if people would want to, we could always, you know, give the course in person if they want to learn a little bit better. But then that would be like the first thing that we would be planning to make, because it's just very easy, and we were very we already have the whole script there. And I think one of the other courses that we would like to think, but that's more something that Lonneke also realize that there's a need for, that is also courses that teach other colleagues, for example, examination of, you know, a very precise examination of the joint, like could be like you know, the front leg or a back leg, or you know, she saw around Europe where she's been giving the courses, and maybe you can tell more about it yourself, Lonneke, because yeah.
Yes, well, yeah, teaching all around Europe, I saw that sometimes the examination just of the front leg and the back leg and the spine, and also neurology, that's really one of my well, main interests. Sometimes I noticed that colleagues were not that confident in this area, and they really liked the courses that I gave. So I thought maybe we can do also something online, where colleagues can just learn about the examination of the front leg and the back leg and the spine, and maybe some neurology, yeah, to just add to their toolbox, maybe become a better examiner, maybe do more diagnostics. Yeah, so what is wrong in this front leg, and how do I examine the carpal joint and the elbow joint in the best way?
Nice. Cool. So you both got different plans. It's great that you've got the massage course already done, pretty much. You just have to record it. And when I first started online, So it was like 2014, 2015. I had a massage course too, and it sold very well. So it's something that any pet owner will actually buy, because you don't have to have a dog with arthritis. There are a lot of owners that just would love to learn how to massage, to do it just to connect with their pets. So yeah, it's a great one to start with. Before we end, I think I'm just going to ask each of you to share if there is anything in the growing of your business and the setup of your business that if you could go back, you would change. So anything that you particularly did that was a big mistake and you wish that you hadn't done. Maybe we can start with you, Irene.
A big mistake? I think maybe the mistake was, and it's probably a mistake that a lot of colleagues make, is not saying no. So I would work really long hours and I would get really tired and also a little bit like overworked and burned out because I was just afraid that I might not have enough income. And I think what I learned during the way is that sometimes you just need to increase your prices a little bit, because if you're not able to earn a normal living and you work so many hours, you do something wrong. So looking back, I might have, increased our prices a little bit sooner, because I think I worked a lot of hours and still not owning enough. And that made me almost, not burn out, but there was a period in time where I was like so tired. And then also you lose a little bit of your enthusiasm about your profession because you're just too tired. And so if I would look back and change something, I would have stepped back a little bit earlier and say, something is not going wrong, or not going right. How can I change it? And I would have preferred to have done that maybe 2 years earlier, but well, I survived. But yeah.
Great advice. Very good advice.
Yeah.
Lonneke?
Yes. Well, I think I was thinking about the same before you started. And the thing that I was thinking about more concrete is that I think we made our rates to the clients too low in the beginning. That is something that I would change, because I think we're still, of course, we increase the prices every now and then, but still we're not at the level that I think is matching up to other practice around us. So don't undervalue yourself. I think we did that in the beginning. I did that. Let's talk for myself. And yes, the same thing as Irene. Make sure that every now and then you evaluate what you're doing and if it's still what you want to do. So don't go in that train that just treating clients, treating dogs, treating everything, and just step out of it and make a plan if you want to change things, because otherwise nothing will change.
Yeah, I think one of the problems is if you go in low, and most people when they first qualify, they don't have confidence in themselves and they think, well, I'm just qualified and what can I do? And they come in so low, and like you say, it takes such a long time. You can't just drastically increase the prices and then you literally price yourself low all the time, because you're like trying to put the increases, but you're never getting to where you should be. And I think a lot of the countries don't have set like prices, right?
No.
If you were at the IAVOPT conference, you would have listened to Anae's lecture on it was basically an industry report that Onlinepethealth did. And there was just such varied prices. I mean, in the States and the UK, I mean, in the States was like $40 to like $250 or something per consult. And the UK, I can't remember the figures, but it was also just such a varied price. So there aren't these sort of fixed prices, whereas in the veterinary field, there's more set prices, right? People have an idea. So yeah, you definitely never undervalue yourself. So there's a really great advice. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things also is because we are like, we are trained to be animal physiotherapists, like pet physiotherapists. So one of the mistakes I made is like that, because I was trained so specialized in one area, that I thought that was the only thing I could do. And if I didn't want to do that like full time anymore, then what else was I going to do? A complete new profession. And then I actually found out that, even though you specialize, there's still choices. If you're not happy in one situation, there's always a choice to see what else is possible. And then both me and Lonneke were looking at things that are related to our profession, but not only exist, about treating the animals 50 hours a week. But it actually took me a little bit of time to see that there were more, possibilities, even though I'm a very specialized, have a very specialized profession. And that really sort of like opened the world for me, a world of opportunities that I didn't really see anymore. And I thought, well, either I do this or I do something completely different. And that really blocked me for a while. But until I did this year course with Lonneke, and then, I started thinking more in possibilities and not in restraints. And I wish, maybe looking backwards, that I would have done that maybe a year or two earlier. But on the other hand, life just goes as it goes, and sometimes, there's the right moment for something. And I think it was just right in time, because otherwise I might have started doing something different.
And also sometimes we're not ready. We're not ready to open ourselves up to those change. So if I think about it in my life, I've read so many books and, read so many books on different things. And there's one book called The Compound Effect. And it's basically about, living consistently. So doing little things and little habits every single day that produce big results. And that's not the first time a book like that has come out. Like, there's Atomic Habits, and there's so many of these books. And I've literally read so many of them. But when I read this Compound Effect, suddenly it was like, I get it. Like, I get it. Like, and it just clicked. And so maybe in those times before when I've read it, it wasn't right, or it wasn't the right way they explained it. But when I read them, I'm like, it's exactly the same as these other books. But just in that time when I read it, and this was a few years ago, probably 7 years ago, I read the book. But when that day, I remember when I actually got it, I was like, So sometimes we're not ready for things, and everything happens at the right time.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that, definitely. But yeah, one of the best things definitely was meeting Lonneke and bringing our businesses together and working together and helping each other, and still are.
Yeah, well, I wish the two of you all the success in the world, and I can see you both going to be going places. So I'm looking forward to the online things. I can see there's probably some more practices that are going to be opening up too. And it's so lovely to chat to two people that just have such a great relationship in business. So yeah, it's really, really inspiring. And I hope those of you that are looking for partners find somebody similar like what you guys have got.
Yeah, I hope so too. I wish this for everyone. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. It's been great chatting.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Megan. Bye.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. I'm here every week talking to vet rehab therapists from all over the world about all things vet rehab. A big thanks to our sponsor, Curacao Vet. Their sponsorship allows us to be able to give this podcast to you for free, so please go and check them out at curacao.org. Please also don't forget to bookmark the next Vet Rehab Summit. It's on Saturday, the 8th of November in 2025. Come and be a part of the world's largest online veterinary rehabilitation conference created specifically for you, the vet rehabber community. Onlinepethealth members, you get VIP complimentary access to the Vet Rehab Summit. For more information about continuing education for vet rehabbers, you can go to onlinepethealth.com.